Can you get up?
Obviously not. Can't get up. They're here.
Oh, you can't get up. Okay. You can sleep with them.
Sorry, guys. Oh, it's very rough.
They were tired.
Very rough. Okay. Whoa. Okay. I don't understand. Is it on now?
Yeah, this is on now. Okay, tell me about Halloween.
The way that people celebrate the holiday of Halloween in America has changed many times. Historians seem to have many different ideas on just where and why the holiday of Halloween started. Most seem to agree that it began with some sort of combination of ancient pagan festivals getting combined with later Christian ideas and Christian holidays. But whether it started as early as the years 400 to 800, or whether it started later in the Middle Ages between 1200 and 1500, it appears to have started in the British Isles and across Europe. Gatherings that recognize the end of the autumn harvest and the beginning of the colder months of winter. And those got combined with Christian efforts to celebrate dead saints and an opportunity to pray for and remember all the people in your life who have died in the previous 12 months. November 1st or 2nd became known as All Saints' Day. And another way of saying that is All Hallows' Day. In the Middle Ages in Europe, the years 1200 to 1500, it was common to start Christian celebrations on the evening before the holiday. And we still use this terminology when we celebrate Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. And so the evening before All Saints' Day or All Hallows' Day was All Saints' Eve or Hallows' Eve, from which we get the word Halloween. But regardless of the historical theories about exactly where and how Halloween began, it is clear that Halloween did not become a widely celebrated holiday across America until the middle of the 1800s. Due to an influx of immigrants from different parts of Europe and even from the Caribbean, led to people across America expecting a holiday on the evening before November 1st. On October 31st, they began to celebrate Halloween with children in costume going door to door requesting candy or other treats. Homes that were not welcoming or not generous with the treats might be expected to have a trick played on them. And so this entire practice on Halloween became known as trick or treat. During the same time period that the practice became completely common across the United States, there was a change in the religious population of the country. Although the population was still primarily Christian, the percentage of Protestants grew to become much, much larger than the population of Roman Catholics, and the Protestant denominations do not have saints. Therefore, there is no All Saints' Day or All Hallows' Day among Protestants. And so the practice of Halloween trick-or-treating became completely divorced from the Catholic holiday of All Saints' Day. Now, by the time I was growing up in America in the mid-1960s, Halloween was entirely a children's holiday, a children's activity. The littlest children, under about 6 years old, would go out with their parents in the hour before sunset, because it was just too dangerous for little children to walk around in a costume and a mask after dark. Once it got dark, the children who were slightly older would go out, sometimes with parents, sometimes without, to go door to door. The tradition was that you ring the doorbell or knock on the door, and when it opens, the children yell, "Trick or treat." The adults of the house marvel at the costumes, complimenting the children, saying how frightening or interesting their costumes are, and give out candy or other sorts of treats. All of these practices still go on today in many or even most of the neighborhoods around the United States. In 1959, things started to change a little bit. There were reports of adults giving out candy that had been poisoned. At least one or two of these reports were true, but almost all of the reports are now known to be false. But the damage to the holiday was done. Parents started teaching their children to be suspicious of any treats like cookies or cakes that were not in commercial packaging that could be examined for any holes or disruption. In the 1960s, the fears changed from poisoning to the placement of needles or razor blades inside the treats. Again, almost all of the reports are now known to have been false or else perpetrated by the children themselves or by their own parents. And even those few instances that are known to be true resulted in no serious injury. But by the 1970s, hospitals and medical clinics were opening their doors on Halloween and on November 1st for parents to bring in all of the candies and treats collected so that they could be x-rayed for any metal placed inside. Again, essentially 0 instances were recorded of a stranger putting metal objects inside the candy or other treats. In 1982, the Halloween trick-or-treating tradition took another bad turn. 1 month before Halloween, a particular man poisoned the Tylenol bottles on the shelf at a local store. In this very real incident, 7 people died. Like any other crime that gains a lot of notoriety, a number of other people performed similar types of crimes. But the common fear of poisoning of everyday objects became real. Many parents moved their children away from the traditional practice of going door to door trick-or-treating. Schools and churches and other community organizations began to host holiday parties for children that involve similar activities of dressing up in costume and going from person to person at the same party to obtain candy or treats. People felt like this was much safer because all of the treats were handed out by people known to the organization or by the leaders of the organization itself. During the 1970s and 1980s, young adults began hosting Halloween parties for their own friends. These young adult parties focused on elaborate or very sexy costumes, lots of alcohol, giving out prizes for the best costumes. Some of the larger cities began hosting gigantic parties where the police would simply close off an entire section of the city. No vehicles were allowed in, and so revelers were permitted to wander around aimlessly with lots of alcohol and elaborate costumes. Cities like New York and San Francisco and even Austin, Texas, became known for these gigantic open parties.